Hey everyone, Travel here from Paws and Claws. Today we are grooming Luna. She came in with severe matting, and unfortunately, we have been having a lot of dogs coming into the shop with this condition. So, as we groom Luna today, I want to talk a bit about matting. I want to explain to you guys about how mats are formed, what they can do to your dog's health, and how you can prevent them at home. Now, Luna, as you can see, is she's not super scared, but she's super nervous. You notice that she's lying on the table, and she's gonna do this for most of the groom. By the end of it, however, you're gonna see how comfortable she's gonna become. Now, we usually do a complete check to see how bad the mat is and where it is and so on. Now, we usually start with the lower part of the body. We usually leave the face for last because we find that the dogs are, by the end of the groom, the dogs are more comfortable with you touching their faces. You guys might be asking, how did it get this bad? Now, Luna's mom told us that she left her with someone to take care of her, and this is the situation when she picked her back. She was away for a while, and she left her with someone to take care of her, and they just allow her to get to this state. Unfortunately, this is what most customers with dogs in this condition would say to us. They left the dog with someone, and this is the condition they picked the dog up back in. I don't know how true that is, but I can only take their word for that. Um, Unfortunately, we have been having like quite a lot of these situations in the shop. Like every week, we get at least two or three walk-ins, and the dogs are in this condition, and it's just not right. So I've been thinking, okay, so maybe yeah, they left the dog with someone to take care of, and indeed they picked them up back in this condition. But I'm sure that some of those cases aren't that. So maybe they do not understand how to take care of their dog's coat. And for that reason, I want to talk a bit more about matting, what it is, and uh, the health issues that can arise from it, how to prevent it, and how to uh, treat it, if you want to say that. Now, mats are formed on dogs when loose or shedding hair becomes tangled or knotted around live hair. And if it's not brushed out regularly, this is what would cause mats. All right. So, why do mats form on dogs? So, one would be lack of regular groom. Now, brushing removes loose hair and prevents them from tangling. Now, without this, mats easily develop, especially in curly hair or double coated breeds. Another way would be from moisture and dirt. Now, wet fur clumps more easily, and dirt acts like glue on the coat and speeds up matting. Another would be like the friction areas. Mats often form in like eye friction zones. So that's like behind the ear, under like the armpits, the collars, the harnesses, and around like the tail of the dog. Right. So those areas would be prone to mats. Another way would be during the shedding season. So we know dogs shed more during the seasonal changes. And if the undercoat isn't removed during those seasons, it gets trapped and formats. So brush it is super super important, especially during those changing seasons. Now, and of course, another way would be just the type of coat. So certain coat types, certain breeds like the Shih Tzu, the Poodle, the Cocker Spaniels, and so on, are more prone due to the density of, or curliness of their coat. We have been getting a lot of huskies and chow chows in the shop who are matted as well. Those are double coated dogs as well. In the case of Luna, she hasn't been groomed in many months. Her entire body is matted, with the exception of parts of her face. When the matting is this severe, we usually go with we cut the coat with a number 10 blade because it's easier to get through the coat. And even with a number 10, there are challenges at times to get through that coat. We try to do it as quickly and as comfortable as possible because the process itself it can be very stressful for the dog. And in this case, where Luna is very nervous, you want to get this done as quickly as possible. So we try to be as comforting as possible, as gentle as possible, but sometimes you need to put in a little bit more force here and there. But that doesn't mean that we are cruel to the dog or anything like that. Of course, we cool the blades, we change the blades periodically throughout the groom. I've been getting a lot of comments on our other videos that we need to cool our blades. We always cool our blades. The videos are edited, so you wouldn't see an entire groom, and usually those type of things are cut out. So we usually go through several blades throughout a groom, and we cool blades as well. So don't ever think that we don't. Now in Luna's case here, you can see she was so matted that whenever she messed, it gets on her coat, and she came in with, of course, exactly that. It's just sad, and you will find this in a lot of cases like these. Now you notice Luna, like I said, is very nervous, and she doesn't want to stand. Um, but she is not being armed in any way here. Now the effects of matting on dogs it can be a wide range, but the most common would be skin irritation or infections. Actually, mats pull on the skin, causing redness, sores, or even open wounds. So you'll find, like in matted dogs, after you take off the coat, you'll see a lot of redness on the skin, and that may come over like clipper burn or something like that. But matting in itself, it pulls on the skin, right? Another, apart from the irritation and the infections, it can restrict movement as well. So severe mats in the joints can limit mobility and cause discomfort. I'm sure you would have seen in the past dogs are kind of like waddling like ducks, that severe matted dogs, because again, it restricts their joints, it restricts movement. In addition to that, another one would be that it can trap moisture. So that's why, and moisture in itself helps to even tighten the mats. So it is very, at least when it comes to grooming, it's very important that you remove the mat before you actually bathe the dog. And by the mat trapping moisture, it can lead to like bacterial or fungal infection beneath the coat, right? Another thing would be that it's perfect for parasites to hide out. Now, fleas and ticks and mites love dark, warm environments, and mats provide that for them. Um, I'll, in our case, a lot of the dogs that would come in matted, they would have fleas and ticks, and some of them would have sores and cuts and severe skin irritation. So it's really bad for your dog. Now, in addition to that, because it restricts the skin and all of that, it's the pain and the anxiety of it all. Removing the mat can be painful if not addressed early, and it can make grooming very traumatic for the dogs. Um, so that's why we try to get over the process as quickly as possible. You'll see in some of our videos the dogs that will come in with a tick infestation and plus the matting. We usually just instead of removing the ticks one by one by one, which would take hours upon hours to get done. We shave the coat down as quickly as possible, and then we do the tick removal within the during the bath. One that helps with the messiness of removing ticks, the blood and all of that can easily be washed off, and it gives the dog quick relief from the ticks. So instead of pulling the ticks one by one, we usually use a flea comb, which helps to remove large amounts at once. So the dog gets relief much quicker. It's more thorough. And although you would have done that at the end of the groom, at the end of the bath and all of that, then we would bring the tweezer or any other tool that would be able to grab those any remaining ticks to remove them. Fortunately for Luna, she doesn't have any ticks, so that's a big plus in her case. And there are a lot of situations where the dog is severely matted and there aren't any ticks. So that's a blessing in disguise if you want to call it that. Now, how to prevent mats? Now, there are a wide variety of things that you can do. Now, one of them, which is the most basic and the most important, is to brush regularly. So either daily, you want to daily do it daily for like high maintenance breeds, and at least 2 to 3 times a week for the others. Use the right tools. Now, a slicker brush, combs, detangling sprays are essentials. Uh, each coat type needs a specific tool. I would say when it comes to matting, the sticker brush is the most. Sorry, when it comes to brushing, the sticker brush is the most important tool to have. Because if you're brushing regularly, you wouldn't need like the detangling comb and all of those type of things. You need a really good slicker brush, and your dog would be good. Now, you in the description we have listed all of the tools that we normally use in during grooms or in the salon, so you can check it out to see what type of sticker brush we use. That's the same one that we're using in the video, and it works really good. Uh, Professional grooming is another option. Now you can schedule regular grooming every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the breed or coat type. Now, if you know you genuinely would not have the time to tend to your dog's coat, an option would be to do a very low cut during the grooming session. So every 4 to 6 weeks, whenever you take the dog to the groomer, you can do a very low cut. So the coat will be easier to maintain. That's if you know you wouldn't be able to keep up with the maintenance process. Now, Now, another way to prevent it would be to dry thoroughly after baths or rain. So you might have taken your dog for a walk or anything like that in the rain, or you went playing in the rain. You want to ensure that you dry that coat completely. Now, remember, moisture leads to matting, so blow dry and brush after baths is very critical. Another thing you want to do is to avoid leaving collars and harness on for too long, especially on long, airy breeds. Removing them when indoor or after walks is ideal. So let's recap what I said earlier. So, why do mats form? Remember, no brushing, moisture and dirt buildup, frictions, shedding of the undercoat, long or airy coats. Then I said what matting can cause health-wise. No, it can be, of course, skin irritations and infections actually, pain and restricted movements. It's a perfect place for parasites to hide. So ticks and fleas and so on, they love that type of coat. It traps moisture, so you and with moisture, of course, you can the coat can get fungal infections and so on. And of course, it causes anxiety during grooming. It makes the process really, really bad for the dog. Now, how can you prevent this? Remember, you want to brush 2 to 3 times per week or daily for like really curly coats. Now, you want to use the right tools, which means, like I said earlier, I think the best tool, or at least if there's just one tool you can get a slicker brush. And like I said earlier, you can find a link to the one that we normally use in the video description below. Book a professional groom for your dog every 4 to 8 weeks. And if you know it is difficult for you to maintain that coat, then ensure that you keep the dog's coat low. You want to ensure that you dry your dog completely after baths, or if they get wet during walks in the rain or anything like that. And you want to remove harness and collars and so on if they're on for an extended period. Now remember, matting is painful and prevention is love. We don't want our dogs to be in pain. We love them way too much for that. Luna's been really, really good for a groom. She wasn't very difficult to work with at all. She was, as you guys would have seen earlier, she was very nervous in the beginning. She was lying on the table. Now she's standing and enjoying her bath. That's her sweet spot. Um, so this is what I'm saying. Like when you are grooming, in fact, we always do that. Whether the dog is comfortable or not, we always start with the torso before we go to the head. It's usually the last thing. So you want the dog to be comfortable during the process. So, and most dogs just don't like you touching their face and their legs. Those are usually some of the problem areas. All right. So Luna is totally comfortable with her groom now. Now maybe 80% comfortable with her groom because dogs truly do not like being groomed. And she's looking way better compared to what the coat was earlier. She looks amazing. She's been really good. We have had dogs that would want to eat her heads off. They'll be fighting and fussing through the entire room.
From the table. Garlic. Not both of the chicken for the in the house. Everybody, darling, they got for the chicken. The ladron.
Thank you guys for watching, and I do hope you enjoyed this video. Do subscribe for more like this.
How big, yo?
Good, isn't you? Yeah.
What you doing?
Alright, check it.